Okay, here I am with the bowl. There's a paper with a little bit of a sketch on it. I have that sketch I'll use to sort of emboss or highlight a pattern all the way around. There'll be four sets of that image. It'll be flipped over 180 and mirrored a few times. But anyway, there'll be four sets of it. Here I'm starting to do a relief cut there with a little bit wider tool. It's a small tool, but has a nice little sharp edge on it for just doing a rough outline profile of the piece when it'll be carved down to a finer detail. As you can see, I'm just doing some larger areas, leaving just the rough image there. Down in the bottom left-hand side, you can see a copy of the piece when it was completed. And on the right side, you can see it on the Lockerbie kick wheel where it was carved. I just highlighted on the base of it four sections with a marker how to center the pattern on there. So it changes a little bit. I kind of tweaked it a little bit here and there, but it's basically the same part. So here I'm using a little bit smaller loop tool to do a little more detail on this, but I'll go to a smaller one to even make it a little more detailed here. And again, there's four patterns that go all the way around. So I'm just cleaning it up a little bit here, just kind of outlining the pro. It's just a rough sketch, but on here I'll just smooth out the curves, make sure they flow smoothly and don't look too bumpy or anything like that. So here I'm taking off a little more of the surface area there with the stain on it. I don't really relieve too much of the area there, just enough to take the stain off to highlight that. So there'll be a nice contrast between the stain and the clay color when it's fired. So here's a pretty good rough draft on that one right there. Just a few little details left to be done on that one there. And there's a second pattern added to it right here. And they're kind of like mirror images of one another. And now let's see, I have two of them left here. So now there's three of them that are carved all the way around. I have just one section to finish up. I'm just dusting it off a little bit here. I have to moisten it down a little bit. This clay is leather hard. I like it a certain moisture level, consistency. Makes it so much easier to carve. Here I'm using one of the small tools, but the wider tool, just to do a rough cut out of the general area prior to the detail again. It's just a real faint sketch on there. You really can't see, and it really doesn't show up even when it's fired. But it just gives me just a rough draft for the area there. This piece, when it's done, will be allowed to dry. It'll go leather hard. Then it'll be fired in my scut kiln to a little over cone 5. And I'll see a nice contrast. The stained area will be black, sort of a satin black, and the clay will be kind of an earthy brown, kind of a mid-range brown in color. Here I'm using a small music wire loop tool to do just kind of like try to get a nice smooth curve in there. I'll come back in and just clean it up a little bit so that it looks more like a curve instead of a bumpy curve. So again, I'm just doing a little bit of a cleanup here before I get down to the real details. It's nice to have little different tools, different widths, different types of grooves they cause when you use it as a tool. And again, the consistency of the clay as far as the moisture level is real nice to have that just right. If it's too dry, it just kind of it leaves a rough surface. When it's moist, it leaves a smoother surface behind after the loop tool goes over that. Here I'm just trying to make a small, nice curve there. Just rounding this off here just a little bit. I might want to use go smooth to a smaller tool here, but it's pretty far along here. Just doing the cleanup again. I usually have a mirror in front of me like that, so I can always look at it in a mirror image. Just gives me a different perspective of the part. There's the piece on the left side. It's pretty much completed, and there may be just a few things I have to look at and clean up just a little bit, but that's pretty much it right there. I use bats for most of the work I do. I make them myself, actually made out of particle board and countertop material. They have two alignment pinholes in the base, and I just move them from my Pacifica wheel over to my Lockerbie wheel, and they're centered again on both of them. So here it's just spinning around. It looks like it's pretty much done. I'll probably put it back in the barrel and let it stay moist for a little while. Then I'll come back and take a second look at it before I finish it up.